afternoon and salam perpaduan. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mohnipriya and you're watching Updates at Noon. Our headlines for today: water supply in Selangor affected areas fully restored. Severe blizzard in US leaves at least 60 dead. The water supply in affected areas following odour pollution at the Jindram Hile Raw Water Pump Station has been fully restored at midnight last night. They involved a total of 472 areas in 5 regions of SAHIH Selangor. SAHIH Selangor expressed its appreciation to all related users for their patience and cooperation throughout the unscheduled water supply disruption period. It also advised users who have water supply restored to let the tap run until it is clear before the water is fit for daily use. The water supply disruption involved 172 areas in Petaling, 54 in Hulu Langat, 196 in Sepang, 23 in Putrajaya and 27 in Kuala Langat. It occurred following the odour pollution at the Jindram Hile Raw Water Pump Station, which caused temporary stoppage of work at Bukit Tampoi Water Treatment Plant and Sungai Semenyih Water Treatment Plant on Saturday. The cause of the pollution was believed to be the spill of perfume oil from a 20-ton container lorry, which was involved in an accident at the North-South Expressway Central Link near Bandar Serenia, Negeri Sembilan. The perfume oil flowed into a river that connects with the Sungai Semenyih River. The Defence Ministry is ready to mobilise the members and assets of the Malaysian Armed Forces ATM to help in the investigation works of the landslide incident in Batang Kali, Selangor. Its Deputy Minister Adli Zahari said the ministry will communicate with all related parties in order to ensure that the required assistance can be channelled immediately.
Dia memanglah anggota tentera di bawah tanggungjawab kita dan memang kita daripada awal lagi kita libatkan pasukan tentera dan kita akan berkomunikasi dengan semua pihak dan tentera sentiasa berikan perkhidmatan kita jika diperlukan. Setakat ini masih ada lagi. Cuma kita tengok pasca pencarian ni lah. Selepas daripada itu, apa tanggungjawab kita sentiasa berikan perkhidmatan. Terutamanya dalam bencana, tentera biasanya akan membantu dalam mobilize aset-aset kita. Jadi mana-mana sama ada nakma ataupun mana-mana keperluan di peringkat negeri itu, kita akan berikan kerjasama kita di peringkat Kementerian Pertahanan.
Adli said this when visiting the family members of the victim that was killed in the landslide incident in Kampung Macap Baru, Melaka. The ATM previously mobilised an officer and 30 personnel from the 25th Battalion of the Royal Malay Regiment every 6 hours to the scene to assist in the search and rescue operations of the landslide at Father's Organic Farm campsite. In another development, Adli said Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim should be given the space and chance to prove his capability in steering the nation. He said he is confident that Datuk Seri Anwar would be able to lead the country despite the global economic uncertainty next year, based on the ability and experience of the 10th Prime Minister. Elaborating further, Adli said all ministries have been instructed to help in the efforts of easing the burden of the people that are affected by the current uncertain economic situation. He further noted that the Defence Ministry will also continue to provide assistance to the ATM members and veterans, especially pertaining to the cost of living issues.
Memang kalau saya lihat semua kementerian kadang-kadang orang sebut tentang kos sara hidup pun Kementerian Pertahanan pun dipertanggungjawabkan oleh Yang Berhormat Menteri minggu lepas mesyuarat pasca Kabinet. Di Kementerian Pertahanan pun kita membicarakan tentang bagaimana kita boleh meringankan beban kos sara hidup anggota tentera dan juga veteran tentera. Jadi maknanya kita memang sepakat di semua peringkat kementerian. Isu utama kita banyak terkait dengan kos sara hidup dan memang kita dalam tempoh ini cari solusi untuk menyelesaikan masalah-masalah yang dihadapi oleh rakyat.
The Negeri Sembilan Fire and Rescue Department, JBPM, has framed a pre-incident plan in order to face any unexpected possibilities or situations. This includes a disaster risk assessment as well as the coordination of assets and assistance.
Kita mengenal pasti tempat-tempat kekerapan berlaku banjir dan juga kita buat rancangan pra-insiden. RPI adalah untuk plan contingency, untuk kita membuat kajian kawasan dan juga risk analysis. Akses untuk masuk ke lokasi-lokasi tersebut bagi penghantaran bantuan, kecemasan dan juga mewujudkan staging area yang telah dikenal pasti bagi koordinasi segala aset dan juga tenaga kerja sekiranya kejadian bencana dan juga ini berlaku.
Speaking after an interview session at Kompleks Penyiaran Tuanku Muhammad in Seremban, Negeri Sembilan, JBPM Operations Assistant Director Zamhuri Zainuddin explained that the pre-incident plan would further ease the operations conducted by the fire and rescue teams. The Communications and Digital Ministry is cooperating with social media companies to curb the spread of fake news. However, according to its Deputy Minister Teo Ni Ching, the effort would not restrict the freedom of expression of the internet users.
Dan juga ada pihak-pihak tertentu yang membuat bayaran kepada KOL untuk menyampaikan mesej mereka. Tetapi kadang-kadang kandungan mesej tersebut adalah kurang sesuai untuklah masyarakat kita. Jadi adalah amat penting supaya kementerian saya bekerjasama denganlah platform provider sepertilah Meta, sepertilah TikTok dan Twitter untuk pastikan bahawa kandungan yang di-upload di media sosial tersebut adalah diseimbangkan.
Teo said the efforts to prevent the spread of fake news in the community are important and needed to ensure the harmony and security of the country. Apart from that, she said the ministry is also focusing on cyber and personal data security. The number of new COVID-19 cases in the 51st epidemiological week from 18th to 24th December recorded a drop of 18.7% at 5,894 cases, compared with 7,249 cases reported in the previous week. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said during that period, the number of local cases dropped by 18.7% from 7,232 cases to 5,880 cases. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said in a statement regarding the current situation of the COVID-19 infection that the number of imported cases was also lower by 17.6% from 17 cases to 14 cases. The number of death cases also showed a drop of 34% at 31 cases compared with 47 cases reported in the previous week. The Health DG further said the average number of active cases per day for the 51st epidemiological week was also lower by 13.7% from 16,895 cases to 14,580 cases. The number of recoveries also showed a drop with 7,791 cases compared with 10,330 cases recorded in the previous week. Regarding the flood disaster situation, he said in the 51st epidemiological week, a total of 6 positive cases of COVID-19 were detected among flood evacuees. All of them were mild cases and patients continued to be isolated at home after the Temporary Relief Centre or PPS is closed. Coming up on the foreign front, Philippine floods claim 13 lives. You're watching Updates at Noon. Christmas Day floods in the Philippines forced the evacuation of nearly 46,000 people from their homes. At least 13 people were killed and 19 others were missing after a week's worth of heavy seasonal rain in the southern and eastern regions of the country. The flooding hit the south on Sunday as the disaster dampened celebrations on the mainly Catholic nation's most important holiday. The Coast Guard said it rescued members of more than 24 families in the southern city of Ozamis and nearby Clarin town at the height of the flooding. 4 deaths, 3 from drowning, were reported in the nearby southern towns of Jimenez and Tudela. The Coast Guard also said strong winds and big waves sank a fishing boat on Christmas Day off the coast of the central island of Leyte. 2 crew members were killed while 6 others were rescued. 2 others, including a baby girl, drowned in the eastern towns of Libmanan and Tinambak after they were hit by floods several days before Christmas. 19 people remain missing, most of them subsistence fishermen from the country's Pacific seaboard who went to sea despite rough conditions days before Christmas. The Philippines is ranked among the most vulnerable nation to the impacts of climate change. A former guerrilla who led a decade-long insurgency against Nepal's Hindu monarchy was sworn in yesterday as Prime Minister for a 3rd time. Pushpa Kamal Dahal will head the new government for the first half of the 5-year term with the support of the opposition Communist Unified Marxist-Leninist or UML party and some other smaller groups. Last month's election had returned a hung parliament. Prachanda, who replaces Sheikh Bahadur Duba of the Nepali Congress Party, will step down in 2025, making way for the UML to take over the office. The new coalition came to power after Prachanda, 68, surprisingly walked out of the ruling alliance led by Duba of the Nepali Congress Party. Duba and Prachanda had both campaigned in the November election, pledging to keep the old alliance intact for several years. Prachanda's Maoist Centre Party won 32 seats in the 275-member House of Representatives. The UML has 78 seats, and the rest, required for the 138 majority, will be controlled by smaller groups, while the Nepali Congress Party will be the main opposition, controlling 89 seats. Nepal has seen 10 government changes since 2008, when the 239-year-old monarchy was abolished. Now, at least 60 lives have been lost in weather-related incidents across the United States, from an Arctic deep freeze and sprawling storm front that extended over most of the country for days, as far south as the Mexican border. Now, the greater Buffalo region on the edge of Lake Erie near the Canadian border was hardest hit. With snow continuing to fall on top of more than 1.2 meters dumped on Buffalo since the blizzard took shape on Friday, New York's second-largest city stood on ground zero for a storm the governor called an epic once-in-a-lifetime weather disaster. Although blinding winds that created whiteout conditions for more than 2 days had abated by yesterday, snow kept falling, with additional accumulations of up to 30 centimeters forecast through today in areas south of Buffalo and north of Syracuse. Despite a countrywide ban on personal road travel that remained in effect on Monday, hundreds of motorists had to be rescued from their vehicles over the weekend. The severity of the storm, notable for a region accustomed to harsh winter weather, grew out of a combination of meteorological factors that supercharged one another. The Chinese Navy yesterday celebrated the 14th anniversary of its escort mission in the Gulf of Aden and the waters of Somalia. Over the past 14 years, China has dispatched more than 100 Navy vessels in 42 batches to carry out escort missions for more than 7,100 Chinese and foreign ships in the region. They've helped to ensure safety to vessels crossing through the waterways, which used to be the most dangerous in the world. While performing escort missions, the Chinese Navy evacuated Chinese and foreign citizens from war-torn countries worldwide. In 2015, when the war broke out in Yemen, the 19th batch of escort fleet of the Chinese Navy evacuated 683 Chinese citizens and 279 foreign citizens from 15 countries from 29th March to 7th April. The Chinese Navy fleets have also attended various international activities, including escorting foreign ships, conducting exchanges, and holding celebrations with foreign counterparts. China is scrapping mandatory quarantine on arrival for overseas travellers, further unwinding years of strict virus controls as the country battles a surge in COVID-19 cases. Having mostly cut itself off from the rest of the world during the pandemic, China is now experiencing an unprecedented surge of infections after abruptly lifting restrictions that torpedoed the economy and sparked nationwide protests. And in a sudden end to nearly 3 years of strict border controls, Beijing said it would scrap mandatory quarantines for overseas travellers. Since March 2020, all passengers arriving in China have had to undergo mandatory centralized quarantine, but they will no longer have to do so under the new rules that will take effect on 8th of January. According to the National Health Quarantine Law, infectious disease quarantine measures will no longer be taken against inbound travellers and goods. The move is likely to be greeted with joy from Chinese citizens and diaspora unable to return and see relatives for much of the pandemic. But it comes as China faces a wave of cases that studies have estimated could kill around 1 million people over the next few months. Many are now grappling with shortages of medicine, while emergency medical facilities are strained by an influx of under-vaccinated elderly patients. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un kicked off a key meeting of the ruling Workers' Party at a venue he has often used to announce major policy decisions marking the new year. According to the state-run official KCNA news agency, the 6th enlarged plenary meeting of the 8th Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, WPK, was convened yesterday. The days-long gathering of party and government officials caps a year when the isolated country fired an unprecedented number of missiles, including intercontinental ballistic missiles ICBM. A new round of tension flared yesterday as 5 North Korean drones crossed into South Korea, prompting Seoul to scramble fighter jets and attack helicopters and open fire to try to shoot them down. Kim also faces mounting economic challenges amid international sanctions over its weapons program, the fallout from an anti-COVID lockdown and natural disasters. At the meeting, the participants approved 5 big agenda items, including a review of the implementation of major policies and the budget in 2022, as well as the work plan and a draft budget for 2023. A Ukrainian artillery brigade fired shells from Bakhmut yesterday, targeting Russian positions around the Donbas frontline town. Now, since August, Russian forces have been bogged down in a costly and extended fight for Bakhmut, a Donetsk region industrial town with a pre-war population of around 70,000. The eastern Ukrainian city that has become the target of Russian attempts to advance in fighting that has killed thousands of soldiers. An advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday accused Russia of wiping out Bakhmut, criticizing those calling for Kiev to seek peace talks with Russia.
Тут на цьому напрямку дуже великі сили противника сконцентровані. Тобто вони сюди кинули основну свою, так сказати, бойову і спроможну, так сказати, частину своєї армії. Тобто, тому і зараз тут так тяжко. Але нічого. Все справимося, все продолаємо.
Meanwhile, Russia is continuing to see a socio-economic shift 8 months after it launched the special military operation in Ukraine, with some locals saying the impact is not as disastrous as many had predicted. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands, have perished on both sides, while the fear of conflict has displaced millions from their homes. The economic impact of Western sanctions has led to a seismic shift in Russia. Many Western brands and factories have exited the country following the outbreak of the conflict, fueling expectations of an imminent collapse of the Russian economy. Yet, 8 months later, collapse seems as far away as the beginning of the sanctions. Meanwhile, though the West has decided to stop buying or drastically reduce its reliance on Russian natural gas and oil and imposed a price cap on Russian hydrocarbons, such measures have left the country's leadership unfazed as new and emerging markets have filled the void and helped Russia turn towards the east. The death toll from a gas tanker that exploded in a South African city east of Johannesburg on Saturday has nearly doubled to at least 18. According to the authorities, they had arrested the driver and charged him with culpable homicide. The blast, which tore the roof off the emergency department at the Tambo Memorial Hospital, destroyed 2 houses, several cars and injured bystanders, occurred when the vehicle caught fire while under a low bridge on Christmas Eve. The Health Ministry suggested that the death toll might later rise because of the nature of the injuries some survivors had sustained in the explosion in the Boksburg suburb of the city. A spokesman for the South African Police Service for Gauteng province, which includes Johannesburg, said the police had traced and arrested the driver in a hospital where he was being treated on Sunday. The police statement said 32-year-old suspect has been charged with multiple counts of culpable homicide, negligent causing of an explosion resulting in death. Up next in sports, a glowing start for Arsenal and Liverpool in Premier League second half.
Saya bantu.
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Tembika Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here. Over.
MERS 999. Use it wisely.
The Football Association of Terengganu TFA has asked former Terengganu FC TFC player Faisal Halim to send an official letter to Terengganu Football Club Sdn Bhd TFC SB to resolve a dispute between both parties. Now, Faisal had issued a statement claiming that his last salary was deducted without following procedure and without warning by TFC SB management. Terengganu Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Samsuri Mokhtar, who is also TFA President, said the matter can be resolved without involving other parties, including the media.
Ada perkara yang sedang berlaku sebenarnya dan kita menunggulah surat daripada pihak beliau untuk mendapat penjelasan dan kita akan berkomunikasi dengan cara resmi begitulah. Ada isu-isu yang perlu diselesaikan sebenarnya dan kita tunggulah surat daripada beliau. Beliau boleh membuat rayuan, tidak ada masalah sebenarnya dan kita boleh bincang daripada situlah.
Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Samsuri also expressed disappointment, saying Faisal frequently made controversial statements to the media and posted allegations on social media to voice his dissatisfaction against TFCSB management. He said this could be construed as violating club rules that disallow players making open statements to the media over issues faced during their time with the team. Arsenal's composure to rally from 1 down to beat West Ham 3-1 impressed manager Mikel Arteta as the Gunners opened up a 7-point lead at the top of the Premier League last night. Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli turned the game around in the space of 5 second-half minutes before Eddie Nketiah stepped up in the absence of Gabriel Jesus to seal all 3 points. Said bin Rama's first half penalty had given the Hammers the lead, but David Moyes' men remained just 1 point above the relegation zone in 16th. Arsenal's momentum towards a first league title since 2004 could have been halted by a 6-week break for the World Cup. Arteta made no allowances for his stars that have been away in Qatar, as William Saliba started just 8 days after being part of the French squad that lost the final on penalties to Argentina. Manchester City can reduce the gap at the top to 5 points and move back above Newcastle into second place with victory when they travel to Leeds on Wednesday night. However, the show of resilience from Arsenal showed there is a hefty fight that lies ahead of the defending champions if they are to retain the title once more in the second half of the season. And in another match, Liverpool closed in to within 5 points of Spurs and with a game in hand to come by inflicting Unai Emery's first league defeat as Villa boss. The Reds got off to a perfect start after 5 minutes as defender Trent Alexander-Arnold's exquisite pass with the outside of his foot found Andy Robertson, who allowed striker Mohamed Salah to add the finishing touch. Salah swept home his 15th goal of the season in a frantic opening with chances aplenty at both ends. The Egyptian then teed up Virgil van Dijk to give Liverpool breathing space before half-time. Ollie Watkins gave Villa hope with a towering header midway through the second half, but Stefan Bajcic's first senior goal secured a third consecutive league win for Jurgen Klopp's men. Liverpool remain in 6th place on the table after a disappointing start to the season. But with the latest win, they are now just below 4th place Tottenham and the Champions League qualification zone. And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story today, water supply in Selangor affected areas fully restored. Do tune in to News at 10 coming up later tonight on Saluran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya. Thank you for your company.